Over the next few months, the government has to decide on the exact route of HS2, the high-speed rail line that will link London with Birmingham, Leeds and Manchester. The Sunday Times reported that people on the project have told them that to keep costs down, stations at Manchester Airport and Sheffield's Meadowhall shopping centre might be axed. Well, Manchester Airport is the UK's third busiest airport and important in the development of the so-called Northern Powerhouse, which is why some are concerned at these reports. And we're joined by Tony Lloyd, who is Interim Mayor of Greater Manchester, as well as Police and Crime Commissioner for the area. He's in our Salford studio. Good morning.
Good morning to you, Sarah.
Now, you've obviously, as Interim Mayor, had conversations about the rail line over the months, years. What information have you got? Have you heard anything about this idea that these stations might be dropped?
No, none whatsoever. There's been no direct input into people in Greater Manchester that I'm aware of. What I can say, though, is that there would be absolute fury if these reports are proved to have any foundation, and I will be seeking early clarification. Manchester Airport is the third largest airport in the UK, one of the biggest in Europe. Very few other countries would waste the opportunity to link that airport onto the high-speed rail link that I assume is still planned to go ahead to Manchester and to Leeds. So we do need clarification. We do need to have these rumours denied, or if not, that there should be an early report to Parliament, amongst other places. And of course, I'll be raising this now with both the Transport Secretary and the Chancellor.
But we do know that Manchester Piccadilly is the continuum. We know that the Transport Secretary, Patrick McLaughlin, said at the end of last year that continues to look the right location for the Manchester terminus. And we know from earlier that there are reports that the link to the airport is complicated and expensive because of the tunnelling required. If it's required to drop it to keep costs down, then it may not be ideal. But do you recognise that it might have to be an option?
No, this sort of cheese pairing, I mean, frankly, wouldn't take place if we were discussing Crossrail going across London, and that the people from the Midlands upwards will look askance at a view that we can cheese pair in this way. This airport, the case for the airport link is an obvious one. The reality is that within 2 hours' travel of the airport, 1/3 of the UK population lives. It's an important national asset, not simply for those northerners somewhere up there. Now, in that context, the expectation is this must go ahead. It's also in the same report in passing, although importantly in passing, was the threat to a link which would allow the high-speed link to carry on up to Scotland. Now, I think people both in Scotland and the north of England will be dismayed with that idea. You know, the idea that we have this piecemeal rollout of high-speed rail in Britain, that it's concentrated initially, in any case, on London to Birmingham, is very difficult to accept north of Birmingham.
But surely, I mean, you've got to start somewhere, and if it's too expensive, then isn't there an argument, look, let's get it started and then we add on when we can afford it? I mean, you say it's just the north that's facing this, the paring back, but links to Heathrow and the high-speed one, the link to the Channel Tunnel, have already gone.
This cheese pairing isn't the right way to build our national infrastructure. I think most of us will regard it as being a hollow promise, the idea, let's get something down and see what happens next. One of the fears all the way through, frankly, has been that if the high-speed system goes London to Birmingham, that governments in the future could end up cancelling the link to the north. Now, that would be grossly unacceptable, but it's worth pointing out.
We're not talking about that here, though, are we? We're just talking about the particular route that goes north.
It is the route, but the route to a particularly important piece of northern infrastructure.
Why? What difference would it make?
Well, the third biggest airport in the country, the airport for virtually the whole of the north of England in terms of its international outreach. So to fail to link that onto the high-speed rail system would simply be both cheese pairing, but frustrating in this sense that the economic development of the north, the whole concept of the partnership between the north of England and government round the development of the north does depend on this kind of infrastructure investment. If the commitment isn't there, it's a very powerful signal of a failure to commit to that northern development.
And you say you're going to seek urgent clarification. Realistically, can you get some sort of guarantee now, given that so much will need to be up in the air while costs are being worked out?
Well, the main structure, nobody in the right mind really ought to deny the idea. If we're putting infrastructure in for the future, it should be comprehensive. Comprehensive, yes, in terms of the line to Manchester Piccadilly, but comprehensive, including the third biggest airport in the United Kingdom.
Tony Lloyd, thank you very much.
Thank you.